In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a custom signature stamp in Procreate, so you can quickly and consistently sign your artwork in just one tap. And by the way, you don't need to be a professional artist to sign your work. When you have your signature saved as a stamp brush in Procreate, it becomes effortless to sign, share, and even protect your artwork without interrupting your creative flow. So, in this 8-minute tutorial, we're going to create your first signature stamp brush in Procreate, ready to use on your artwork right away. Let's jump in. We're going to start with a canvas that's big enough to make our brushes, so 3000 by 3000 pixels. And most importantly, your canvas needs to be square. And then we're going to turn on a guide, and I'm just using this to have some margins on the edges. And we're going to build our signature inside of this. I like to use a brush that has a little bit of texture. In the Inks tab, this Go Shock brush has a little bit of texture, so that's what I'm going to use. Just pick one that you like. And if you have a signature already, then make sure to copy it here or write it down again. If you don't have anything yet, let's start with just writing down your full name or your artistic name. Make sure when you start writing to use only black. Then for your signature, you have a couple of options. As you can see in these examples, you could write your full name, you could use a script, for example, or you could abbreviate your name and make a monogram like this. So you can make something that looks like a stamp, for example, like this, and then just fill that with your initials. You can also simply write your name or make it diagonal to make sure that you have a bit more space. That is completely up to you. I would say most of all, don't overthink it. Once you have your signature, that's what you'll stick to. I made this one once for my name and just stuck to it. So you could do something like this, which is a mix of a script and then block letters, for example. And it certainly doesn't have to be perfect. It's your personal signature. Just pick something that feels like you. I forgot to mention that even though we're making all these brushes in black, obviously you can use them in different colors. That's simply how the shape source of a brush is. It should always be black and white for the most contrast. And make sure that you use up the space that you have in your canvas. When you're ready, go to the wrench icon and then to Add, Copy Canvas. And now we're ready to turn our signature into a brush. So firstly, we're going to make a new tab, and this tab is going to consist of our personal brushes. Just name it something so you can find it back, like signatures or your brand stamps or something like that. And now we have our tab and we're ready to create a new brush. And then you can go straight to the Shape tab. Go to the top and then to Edit, because we're going to fill this shape with our signature. And then to Import and Paste. And now you have your signature inside this shape. We're going to convert this, so just double tap with 2 fingers to invert the colors. If for some reason your signature is not showing up, make sure to go back, wrench icon, copy canvas, and try this again. Make sure that you're in the Shape tab and not in the Grain tab. You need to make sure that you fill in the signature in the shape source. Now we're going to make a few more adjustments to this. So we're going to go to the first tab, Stroke Path, and then change that spacing to maximum. Because this is a stamp brush and not a regular brush, we don't really need to see how these shapes interact with each other. We just need separate stamps. And then next up, let's go to the Apple Pencil tab, and we want to turn off the opacity completely, because we don't need different opacities here. And then let's go to Properties. And here in the Brush Behavior tab, you can change the size of your brush. You can make this really big. You can still change this actual size of your signature in the slider. So this isn't really that important. Just make sure it's on a decent size. And then lastly, in Preview, here we can see what our brush is going to look like in the brush library. We're going to toggle on Use Stamp Preview, and that way we can actually see our signature in the preview. And that is our signature stamp done. Now all that's left to do is to change the name of our brush. So just hold your finger onto the brush, and then this menu pops up and you can rename your brush. Okay, let's test it out on a new layer, see how this looks. Perfect. And as I mentioned with this slider, you can still change the size and the opacity. But if you're ever, maybe working on a really big size, like maybe you're doing a print and you want to include your signature and the size isn't big enough, you just go back into that brush. So just tap on that brush and change the size if you need to. And what is really handy here is when you want a consistent size of your signature, you can bookmark that size. So the way to do that is go to that size, tap on the slider and on plus. And now you have this size saved, which is saved inside the brush settings. You can do the same thing with the opacity, for example, and save that as well. Just keep in mind when you're working on maybe a different canvas size, this is connected to your brush and not to the canvas, so the sizes will be different. So now that your signature brush is done, let's see how you can use this. The easiest way to use it is by simply placing it somewhere to the left or right bottom of your illustration. So to use this, just make a new layer on top of your design, go to your signature, and then use a color that you already have inside your design. You can, for example, select the color that you're putting it on underneath. Place it, and then change the scaling a bit. And then select a blending mode like Multiply. Now you have a very similar tone and it blends in nicely with the color of your design. Another way you can use your signature is to make it really prominent inside a design. This is something I did that consists of lots of different shapes, and I didn't really want to place it on the side because I might want to turn this into separate little pieces. So an option here is to place it very prominently inside those shapes. And that's your first signature stamp done. And this is actually just the beginning of building a complete signature system. In my full class on Skillshare, we go further and create a full set of reusable stamp brushes. I also walk you through why each of these matter and how to use them in your workflow, so signing your work becomes fast, consistent, and professional every time. If you want to build your own system, you can find the full class linked below. Thank you for watching. If you want more Procreate tips, you can sign up for my newsletter, and I'll see you in the next one.